Leave me alone!
That is not wholesale sex trafficking. Don't say that. That is the International Capturing Everyone Agency, and they're doing their job. That's not, don't do that. Stop, you're interfering with things. Let's stop putting those rumors out there like that, okay? Because that's not what we do on this. I don't like that. Audience member in the comments, don't do that, please. Thank you. Is all I'm trying to say.
But I can call boss, sir, or you
can, but you can call him after you remove it.
That is so weird to me. What are your intentions? What were you guys planning on doing? That is suspicious, is weird, is scary, and is giving trafficking. Thank God after she called the police made them take that lock off that door immediately.
Gene Roddenberry, the man who created Star Trek, made bizarre comments about his daughters. Watch the end.
In my first marriage, I had two lovely daughters, and I had the joy in that marriage of girls. And girls are such delicious, sweet-smelling, wonderful things. I can still remember when they would be so clean and their hair done, their starched dresses, and how when they would bend over, the dresses would come up, and you'd see the panties, and
let me know your thoughts and comments below.
Maybe I can just show you my thoughts, because when he first started talking, I was thinking this. As he continued to talk, I started thinking more along the lines of this. And let's move on to the next clip.
I'm sorry, but something is very, very off about this. Watch this. Watch your eyes.
Pastor Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's. At one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say.
That don't even really mean nothing just because her eyes... Well... I mean, well, let's continue with what else you was going to say, bro.
I believe Scarface said it best, y'all. The eyes, Chico, they never lie.
Who do you think you are today? The more we learn about this covenant of God.
See, what's got everybody riled up, Miss Kirk, is the fact that this right here is 9/11, you know what I mean? The official story doesn't add up. Keep asking questions, and you're saying it doesn't add up to stop asking questions. That's not what any of us are going to do. There are, you know how many anomalies there are with this, and don't get I'm not even going to bring up the Romanian angel situation. Y'all look that up too if you really want to learn a few things about what's going on with that situation, yeah.
Right now. Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
I'm going to show you witchcraft done in actual action on a Christian right now. And I hope that Bryce doesn't mind me using this video.
Also about kill, like I said earlier, but he loves me.
Because we need to be attentive to...
I like... Good to see you again.
I love this, man.
The first thing you can see here is she puts a tissue into Bryce's hood. There is an ill health spell where you cough and you basically mumble the words into the tissue, scrumple it up, and then you put it into the person's pocket, into their coat, into their hood like she just did. Then we see what looks like her taking a piece of hair and then trying to string it onto Bryce. Now she may have plucked that hair from him. I doubt that was her own hair. Or maybe she saw it on his jumper, and then you can actually speak curses onto somebody's hair and put it back onto them. Again, this would have been a form of ill health, bad luck. If you watch the video carefully, you can see the intent through her eyes, and she does mumble slightly as well, so she is actually doing witchcraft as she's doing. After this, you would have seen her do this near to Bryce. This is called darting, and this is where you speak witchcraft into your hands and you dart the person with it. Either you can do it like this or you do it like this. I'm not going to tell you the actual spells or anything like that. So far, that's 3 attempts, so she's really engaging on trying to hex Bryce here. Now, this is where I started to question if she actually has a little thing for Bryce here, because she actually throws a bit of a drink down by his feet. I'm not going to say the actual spell, but that is a form of a love spell to mix your own bodily fluids into their part. Then shortly after that, she puts her arm around him and says, "Oh, I love you, I love you." This is called engagement, so actually she needs to physically touch him for some form of spell here, and also she may actually be trying to perform some sort of ritual, mind control, or a love spell in itself. I'm not entirely sure of her intentions here. It's kind of confusing. You see quite a few hexes and then you see an attempt of love. Also, throughout the whole thing, she's trying to distract him, obviously, from speaking the word of God to people on the street. So yeah, to me, this looks like brujeria. There's a little bit of Santeria going on in there and a hint of attempting voodoo. You don't need to concern yourself with what these spells are or what it is exactly she's doing. What you need to understand is people do these things. So you don't usually see this kind of witchcraft in the West. You see it way more in the East, to be honest. If you notice that Bryce is completely unfazed by what she's doing, and bless him, even when she's saying I love you, he turns around and says I love you too. So she is lost. Evidently she's lost, and there is a spirit in her that hates the word of God, and that's why she's doing the hexing. But then you kind of start to see her soften a little bit, and then the love spells come in. That spirit of witchcraft it doesn't like. I've done this video for information purposes, just a little bit of a deeper idea of what exactly went on there. None of that would have affected him, but had that been done on you, you can probably expect ill health, crazed mind, thoughts that aren't yours. It is so important that if you are up against witchcraft of any kind,
witchcraft is not real. People who practice it just think it is. Just because you think something is real, that don't mean it is real, right? Or we gotta be adults. Come on, man. This is just for entertainment. Witchcraft, push y'all.
If you were to say to me, look, I can wave a wand and you can see right now, and it's got to be a forever thing, I might turn it down. If you were to say to me, well, I can wave it and you can see for maybe a day.
Born, my father was a minister. I started singing in the church naturally because I was exposed to gospel singing first, Mike.
They say R&B was born in the church, raised on hallelujahs, Sunday choirs, and voices meant to worship God. But the truth hiding behind the music is far darker than any hymn could ever warn you about. Because some of the greatest black R&B legends didn't just turn their backs on the church, they walked straight into something the pastors never prepared them for. Strange rituals behind studio doors, whispered confessions about demons in hotel rooms, sudden deaths that looked more like punishments than accidents, and 7 artists, 7 icons, left behind clues so disturbing that even their families refused to talk about them again. These weren't just scandals. They were spiritual collapses, captured in real dates, real diaries, real breakdowns, and real bodies on the floor. So before we start, ask yourself one thing. What does it truly cost when a chosen voice walks away from God? Chapter 1. Ray Charles. The day he turned his back on God. Ray Charles Robinson came out of the red dirt and broken wood of Albany, Georgia. A blind boy raised in the strict rhythms of the Baptist Church, where every shout, every hallelujah, every trembling organ chord was supposed to point him toward God. In 1948, when Ray was just 18, he was known as the child who could hear heaven. Church elders swore that the boy's voice could make a whole congregation rise to its feet. One pastor claimed, "This boy has been touched by the Lord." No one knew how tragically ironic that sentence would become. When Ray left Georgia for Seattle in 1949, he stepped into a world where the church bells didn't ring and the nights were longer than faith itself. Smoke-filled bars replaced pews, whiskey replaced communion wine, and the piano that once carried gospel hymns now carried the blues and the early pulse of rhythm and blues. By 1951, when Ray released "Baby Let Me Hold Your Hand," church folks back home shook their heads. To them, Ray wasn't just switching genres, he was switching gods. The whispers began. Ray Charles abandoned the Lord. He traded God for rhythm and lust.
For absolutely no reason at all, I want to show you guys what aired on the news 9 years ago. Yes, 9 years.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. See, I mean, lasers? Really? To change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing
Everyone complains, but no one does anything about it. But don't you worry, because they're doing something about it. Wild, right?
Oh look, the Magic Circle game. Kubrick must have accidentally left it at the end of Eyes Wide Shut. So as we all know in demonology, a magic circle is never something you play with. It's the boundary where a spirit is summoned, and the summoner becomes bound to the ritual that they started. So when Kubrick slips a board game called the Magic Circle at the end of Eyes Wide Shut, he's telling us the real secret. Decades later, Bill never left the ritual. The circle still surrounds him. Step inside the Magic Circle and the pact is made automatically. Bill did that the moment he crossed the threshold into Somerton, long before he understood what he was inviting. A circle protects you from the entity, but it also traps you in the ritual space. Bill thinks he walked away, But the world he returns to is still charged and vibrating with that same energy, with those same rules. So in occult lore, a magic circle stays active until it's consciously broken. Kubrick shows us the opposite. Bill never breaks it. He apologizes, he confesses, he even negotiates. Everything except severing the ritual bond. So the ceremony didn't end in Somerton. Bill is still inside the circle because he never closed it.
Well, I don't even know why they keep playing around with demons, especially if the Bible is not real, God is not real, the devil is fake. What are we even playing with demons for? Like this commercial.
It's starting to move. You have to be quiet. Wait a second. It's spelling something. This is too weird.
Watch this. What does this mean? What does this mean? Why would they put this for everybody to see? And this is going really fast. So I slowed it down a lot so you could actually see all the words that pop up. Like they flash through there. What could this mean? Like they have this like speeding through. It's hard to catch all the words, so I slowed it down so you guys could all actually see all the words. It just baffles me that they would put this on something so big and significant where so many people see it. See, that one was really hard, like, to catch. This is a message that they're trying to put out to the world, to like everybody that's out here. I'm gonna make another video with that other part that had the longer sentences to show what that one said. I'm gonna slow it down for you even more, but just that part so we can actually read it. So stay tuned for that. I don't know. You tell me.
Do you still believe that volcanoes erupt because liquid hot magma is bubbling up from the Earth's core?
Yeah, I did, but now I get the feeling you're gonna tell me in some condescending way that I'm a moron because I thought that.
Well, if you do, you should stick around. And if you like dragons, you should stick around too. You see, once you realize you don't live where you thought you lived, it causes you to question a lot of things you thought you always knew. And volcanoes, they're no different. So I went volcano hunting because I wanted to see what I could see. And I went to Mount Rainier in Washington. And right away I noticed something. And you might not see it right away, but I sure did. But take a look, and then I'll show you. How about now? Is it coming clear now? So I thought, maybe this is just a coincidence. Maybe this actually is just pareidolia. So I went to another volcano, and I found another face that looked pretty similar, down to its eyes and even nose and mouth. And when you compare two different volcanoes side by side, faces are clearly there, but this isn't even the half of it. Because I kept hunting and I kept going to volcanoes and I kept finding remnants of dragons. Do you see this face here down to its eye, long beak, and its whole dragon body? Again, this isn't even the end of it. But this would have been its stomach, where it would have held a whole lot of its fire acid. Next, I went to Mount Vesuvius and found dragon remnants. This one literally looked like it died here. You can see its head here in its mouth, and like it spewed its acid to create this hole.
I just got to talk about one moment in the Diddy doc.
That's how real it is. I think somebody's trying to kill me. I'll be waking up paranoid. I'll be really scared. I just be paranoid.
So I did that interview. He's talking to me. The doc places this right before Peterson Auto Museum, March 9th. But you know what? We did that interview on the first album. That's him talking about the street, not the game. That's him talking about, I'm afraid of getting knocked off on the street. The first time I interviewed him, we were sitting in the hallway of his building, and if anybody started walking up, somebody from the crew would go down with a hammer. Who's that? Big said to me, I am afraid of the street. But I gotta be out here. I gotta live. I gotta show him my music. I gotta show him I'm not afraid. But I am definitely afraid. But the doc makes it like that bite about his fear relates to the Big Pac situation and his fear ahead of going to LA. He may have been afraid because he knew that he was in danger being in LA in that moment, but that clip is way out of context. It's from years earlier.
I feel about the documentary, they left a whole lot of key things out. If they was gonna do something and they're gonna say in the reckoning of Sean Combs, the reckoning, or Diddy, the reckoning and stuff like that, it should have been a lot of people that we lost because of him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't only Big, it wasn't only Tupac, you understand? For the atmosphere that he put those kids in. You got a guy named Anthony Wolf Jones, who was from Bad Boy, from its conception as doing security and being one of the financiers of Puff having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde David.
Now this is where it gets really dark. Gene Deal says there's a whole murder story that the documentary completely ignored. And I'm talking about Anthony Wolf Jones. Wolf was Bad Boy's head of security from day one. This man was there before Clive Davis, before the record deals, before any of it. He was one of Diddy's most loyal soldiers. He knew everything, and I mean everything. Where the bodies were buried, who got paid off, what really happened at those parties. Wolf knew it all. And according to Gene Deal, Diddy's actions directly led to Wolf's murder. Now, Gene says the documentary team didn't have the intel to tell this story properly. They didn't do the investigation. They didn't have the evidence. Or maybe they did, and they chose not to use it. Wolf was killed by someone associated with BMF. That's Black Mafia Family, one of the biggest criminal organizations in hip-hop history. And Gene is saying there's a direct connection between Wolf's death and Diddy. But the documentary barely mentioned Wolf at all. They showed a few pictures, said he was security, and moved on. Why? Because this story is too dangerous. It involves real criminals, real murders, real organized crime. Netflix didn't want to touch it. 50 Cent probably didn't want to touch it either. But Gene Deal is saying this story needs to be told. Wolf's death wasn't random. It was connected to everything else.
It was Puff, Heavy D, and Jessica. You know what I'm saying? Jessica was the reason why those kids lost their life, because she locked the door on those kids running down the step. You understand? You could see her name in a news article, but they didn't mention nothing about her taking place, but they try to put Heavy D, God bless the dead, out there and they put Puff out there. You know what I'm saying? She should have been the main one because she is the one who locked the door on the kids. You understand? She is the one who locked the door on the kids, and all those kids lost their life.
All right, this next story is going to make you angry. Because the documentary told you about the City College tragedy, but they didn't tell you the whole truth. Gene Deal was actually there that night. He witnessed everything, and what he's revealing changes the entire story.
Hey, you know what I find so ironic about this whole documentary, you know what I'm saying, with 50 Cent and this Diddy situation, is that for some reason, 50 Cent left out a very important person in this whole situation. And I wonder why. Why would 50 Cent leave out one key person, a very important person in Diddy's life? I wonder why. Who am I talking about? Let's see. Why did 50 Cent leave out Clyde Davis? Clyde Davis played a major role in Diddy's music career, his whole music life, right? Why would 50 Cent leave out this guy? This guy played a major role. I'll tell you why he left out Clyde Davis. Clyde Davis is a Tiny Hat gang member. If you know, you know. See, the Tiny Hat gang member, they control the music industry. See, 50 know who to play with and not to play with. See, he can play with Diddy like that. But he know who cut the checks. The Tiny Hat gang member cuts the checks for 50 Cent. So he knew not to put him in there. But everybody knows this guy right here is a very, very important person to the diddler. But for some reason, 50 left him out. And he also left out his baby mama. Why? But like I said, he left him out for one reason, because he's a Tiny Hat gang member, and 50 Cent know not to play with the Tiny Hat gang member, because the Tiny Hat gang members write those checks. And the Tiny Hat gang member would shut him down the same way they just shut Diddy down and using him to do it. See what I'm saying? Catch the play.
I haven't seen the documentary, but apparently it's very interesting, at least according to my timeline, because they keep showing me the nonsense.
The story of Superman, they took it from Egypt.
What's the made up place though? What's
Krypton.
Krypton. Okay, Krypton. I mean, so we can have Zamunda. We can
Zamunda
have,
or Wakanda. You know what I mean? Like I'll take
Stan Lee. My friend worked for Stan Lee. I met him 3 times. And Stan Lee had the wherewithal back in 1966 to go, I want to make an African superhero royal, T'Challa. It's because it's from the 60s, Black Panther. And, you know, the X-Men is about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Yes. Magneto is Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King is Xavier, is Dr. Xavier. Their philosophies were, that's where he got it from. It's all a lot of stuff is from black stories. And they just kind of, Superman is the Egyptian about Osiris, you know, like power from the sun, same thing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, I read all.
I love that. I'm just now hearing that for the first time. I never knew that.
I love that. And when I was with Stan Lee, I love bragging about it, because I don't care. If you didn't meet Stan Lee, you can't with me. Stan Lee, I was in his office for 3 hours. He was 89 years old. My friend went on a break, said, yo, hang out with Stan. I'm sitting with Stan Lee. I said, like, what the fuck? He goes, Godfrey, I want to show you something here. You see this picture of Wesley Snipes? Big ass picture of Snipes with the blade. He goes, he's the reason why Marvel got out of bankruptcy. It was him. Wow. It was because we had Blade. Blade is the reason he saved Wesley. And I go, and we ain't seen another Blade in 25 goddamn years. Crazy. But they got 18 Spider-Mans, 90 this, and Wesley Snipes saved. But this is how this business is.
Look at that.
700 massive sinkholes has opened up in Turkey. Y'all do see where this is going, right? You remember when I warned you about, you know, fake discoveries? They found the bones of Jesus, you know? You know, it's all about making Jesus look fake, and that the alien invaders are coming to get us. You know, it's all part of the whole plan going on right now. And I'm sure there'll be more discoveries too, you know, like the whole email thread talking about Gilgamesh in the Middle East shortly after we invaded. Not related. Allegedly, the Project Looking Glass was also in the Middle East, and we went there and we took that. But hear me with this. Sinkholes are proving that the Earth is somewhat hollow. Otherwise, there would not be able to have just all this compacted dirt fall down hundreds of feet. You know, also under the ground in the Middle East, especially, you know, under the Euphrates River, we have those fallen angels chained in chains of everlasting darkness, you know, them. Oh, I forgot, portals. Portals too were allegedly in the Middle East. You think I'm just crazy? We went over how sphinxes were all around the country when they had no phones. Stay focused. If you thought before was crazy, just wait till you see all the things they do to deceive the people, because what we have seen so far is absolutely nothing.
The movie Greenland, which is all about the governments, the elites of the world, the mega super rich of the world, who knew ahead of time that there was an apocalyptic event, cyclical, that's on the way that would destroy the world. So they made preparations. A part of these preparations, when they knew they were getting close, because they were watching the omens, what did they do? They shut down the museums, like the major museums. They shut them down, and they took all of like the Mona Lisas and the Rembrandts and the Picassos and like the stuff they wanted to save so that they could take it with them into these huge arcs that they had made to survive the apocalypse. And then they replaced it when they opened up and reopened these museums with fakes. Like, it's not too much of a leap, right? If it's true that the apocalypse is imminent and is on the way, now it makes sense that, you know, we've got this cover story that some random jewel thieves just walked on in, grabbed some $1 million jewels and just walked on out. But that's their story.
Thank you to my channel members. We said thank you To my channel members. No Diddy when I say member. Thank you. To my channel members. Fuck you if you're not a member. Nah, I'm just kidding. But seriously, join. Thank you.